Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sarah Sugitan. You are tuned in to CSR right here on GNN. Tonight, we are going to talk about internet security. Is our internet secure? As you have experienced during the past few days and in the last week when we had the elections, the COMELEC website was down. After the Taiwanese incident, our government websites were also attacked by certain cyber attackers. So, is our internet secure? We have here on the show representatives from the group democracy.net.ph, Attorney Francis Acero, Engineer Pierre Galia, and also Attorney Cecil Soria to talk to us about what's missing and what should be improved in our infrastructure. So, Attorney Cecil, I'll start with you. Is our internet secure? We saw in the last election, so the COMELEC website was slowing down. In fact, it was inaccessible.
Yes.
How can you explain that? And that in itself is an incident that marred or rather made the election process a little less credible to a lot of our voters and our viewers. So can you explain that?
Well, there's an official explanation from the COMELEC. They were saying that the inaccessibility of the website was caused by the huge volume of users trying to get information. However, there have also been some reports that several government websites were targeted by citizens and who had apparently issues with the Philippines. These have not been proven, but I think the incident shows the vulnerability of our ICT infrastructure.
So that means our internet is not secure. It can be, well, our government websites in particular have experienced attacks. They have been taken down during the passage of the cybercrime law or cybercrime bill when it was still a bill. And why is that? How come these groups of people whom we do not know, there is no face to these people who have attacked the government websites, how come they have the capability to bring down government websites that numerous stakeholders access every day for information, for registration, for data? Engineer Pierce, so what does that tell us about our security, our government websites, for example?
Let's look at it in a simpler way. Think of a website as a poster on the wall. Anybody can just rip the poster off the wall and replace it with their own. That's what happens to the government websites. So from a security perspective, it's not so big a deal. It's annoying, that's for sure. And not merely annoying, sometimes it really takes away the ability of a person to perform a transaction with that government agency or whatnot. That's not really the security issues we're looking at. We're looking at the security of our databases.
The information that is contained in those websites.
Yes, those that, for instance, your personal information in the SSS or the GSIS or in PhilHealth. These need to be secure, and we do not know yet how much effort is the government putting to secure these sites. Now, there has been a law passed, RA 10173, the Data Privacy Act, which to a fair extent mandates the government to secure such private information of the Filipino people in general. But we, as democracy.net.ph, we're trying to push for a broader initiative known as the Magna Carta for Philippine Internet Freedom. It was filed by Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago last November in the 15th Congress, and we hope to see it refiled again.
How is this Magna Carta for Internet Freedom supposed to plug holes? What is it supposed to address in terms of the internet issues? Engineer Pierre again.
Yes. As we've been discussing to various stakeholders, the Magna Carta for Philippine Internet Freedom, or we call #MCPIF online, it's based on 4 principles: rights, governance, development, and security. So rights, we're trying to replace the badly crafted RA 10175 or the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012.
Badly crafted.
Badly crafted, terribly badly crafted. We're trying to replace that, repeal it completely with something that really makes sense. So there will be rights, but there will be also penalties if crimes are committed. There will be governance. We will mandate a government to do what they're supposed to do when it comes to securing our internet infrastructure, to developing information and communications technology up to the rural last mile, so it doesn't stay just in the cities. We also want development, so we encourage a healthy economic environment for people who want to invest in our country for ICT technologies. And lastly, security. So we will give the capability to the armed forces of the Philippines and other similar agencies to protect our critical infrastructure from attacks being made via ICT or the internet.
All right. Let's talk about instances of cybercrime or cyber fraud. As you said earlier before we started the show, that to a lot of Filipinos, it may not be relevant. There's a cyber attack to a website, it was taken down. It may not be relevant to them. But what they don't know is that in other parts of the world, there have been cases wherein data has been, how do you call it, stolen, and then money has been lost, etc. I mean, crimes have been committed because of the insecurity or the vulnerability of the internet. Can you name such instances so that it is more concrete for our viewers, Attorney Cecil?
Well, in some parts of the world, there have been instances where ATM machines were hacked. And, well, actually not just ATM machines, but it was the mechanism by which they were able to implement the actual taking of the money, but it also involved hacking into the system of the bank. And this took place within just a few minutes, and the amounts were totaling up to millions of dollars. So it can happen, and it does happen.
Yeah, with just a click of a mouse, maybe,
Yes.
or the touch of a button. Yes, Attorney Kiko.
It doesn't really have to be that big in terms of money in the beginning. Say, for example, you have that 10 peso withdrawal fee whenever you transact at an ATM that's not at your own bank. Let's say that money is divvied up into several small pieces. And you say you get 1 centavo of that whole pie. Multiply that by the number of ATM transactions that happen in the Philippines. And you get a sizable amount of money. That money can be distributed through whoever, for whatever purpose. So if you have no idea where these money transactions are going, or that someone's actually stealing that 1 centavo, then you have a big gap through which that's just through the ATM network. There are a lot of other transactions that go out: banking, business-to-business transactions.
Yeah, registrations can be done online.
Registrations can be done online.
Registrations.
Clearances can be done online. Here, actually, our clearances are done online. When you say, for example, with the LTO, I think with the BIR, it's also done online. Being online doesn't mean you accessing it through the web. You online can be you going to the BIR checking its computers for whatever deficiencies you have, and then telling you what's up. From what I remember, going to the BIR, if you need clearance, they'll just look at their computer. Whatever's there, whatever comes out, they'll tell you that's what's up. Now, if the danger there is, let's say you have to your knowledge, you have no deficiencies. You have no records. You pay your taxes on time. You're an upstanding citizen. You go to the BIR, and the BIR says, no, you have this, and this. It can be, on the worst case, it could be politically motivated. In the best case, it could be just negligence. But either way, you lose that much time.
All right. Whenever people transact with government offices, for example, I transact with government offices, there seems to be an underlying theme na patagalan, or it really takes a long time to get data out of the government or even registration. Sometimes, of course, there's a discretionary part whether they approve or disapprove. But sometimes the system, I think more often than not, the systems that they use are slow. Is that normal for government services, or is it something that can actually be changed? Because in private, it can be done. You go there, you deposit for example, in the bank, you can deposit, and then boom, online, you can see that your transaction has been updated, your record has been updated. But with the government, getting land titles, for example, getting, as you said, for example, a BIR clearance or police clearance can take some time because the systems are most of the time slow. So how do we address that?
interestingly, this is an issue that can be readily solved, but our executive does not seem to be interested in pursuing what's supposed to be done. People might recall that in the 15th Congress, a bill called the DICT bill, the Department of Information and Communications Technology bill, was able to reach bicameral conference committee already. But it stopped there, apparently under pressure from Malacanang. This should have solved the issue because it would have integrated all government services that handle information and communications technology infrastructure. It was going to be a department that had a cabinet secretary with oversight over these matters, and it would have ensured that positions which are called chief information officers, not so different from those that are in the corporate world, who ensure that information and communications technology from the smallest agency that needs that kind of technology up until Malacanang itself are able to run smoothly and integratedly with everybody else. So the issue isn't really about the systems. The issue is particularly about the policies.
Yes.
Political will is about it, is part of it, yes. But laying the fundamental policies in place, making people in government understand that it's important that each agency is able to handshake with the other and use technology in the right way, this should have been done early on.
You have rallied for this Magna Carta for internet freedom, meaning you would have a sense of how many legislators are actually interested or even how many of them actually understand the importance of this issue. If you have, as you say, a pie, 100% pie, how many legislators are interested or even knowledgeable about ICT? Would you have a number? Very few?
Well, to be fair, we have been able to talk to just a few of them because we just started, we started working on it late last year. So, of course, with the upcoming elections, you'd understand that some of the legislators would be busy preparing. However, if we go by the recognition from the public of how important ICT is, I think that's also reflective of how Congress people would see how important ICT is. And unfortunately, it's not that high on their priority list right now.
But looking at it optimistically, we can notice that the bulk of the composition of the 16th Congress, both in the lower house and in the upper house, they're fairly young. They're fairly tech savvy.
They probably have emails.
They probably have
Email
emails.
accounts.
Yes, they probably do. And they are beginning to have a sense of how important ICT is in the daily life of the citizen. So we do not foresee this to be difficult to explain. What we think is going to be the meat of the matter is discussing what's best for the country, which approaches regarding ICT will be the best for our people as a whole. So our legislators won't be so ignorant, so to speak. They will be disagreeing on whether path A is better than path B.
Okay, do you see the government migrating all its paper files into, digitizing all its paper files? Do you see that happening, and how long will that happen for government?
Well, you see it already happening in some agencies. For example, some documents from the Office of the President have a security sticker on it that indicates that piece of paper has already been scanned and
loaded in
somewhere,
an online database.
some online database. That itself highlights the danger that we face now. Now, if the only record of these things is online,
and that database is hacked or stolen or deleted, then we will have no other copies of those archives.
Well, we'll have a paper copy, but the validity of the paper copy will come into question.
The authenticity, etc.
Then, you run into a process of saying, well, did they really issue it? Did they not?
Was it falsified?
Right, it's falsified. But, that whole process, that takes time. That takes away from efficiency.
Yes.
And it creates a whole world of problems in and of itself.
But fortunately, we won't be the first people who are going to attempt digitizing all our documents and processes. There is, for instance, the example of the United Kingdom. They have a site called data.gov.uk wherein everything about government, every single piece of data, like how many street lights are there in Islington or something like that, they have that in a database that's accessible to the public. Now, this is where we can become optimistic. Once we build a system that is similarly secure and all the data is all there, we will have a de facto Freedom of Information Act already, because our citizens will be able to go into the site and look at how our government is performing and react thereby. So there is no longer the disconnect of having to write their local mayor or congressman or agency and ask for bits and pieces of paper, which they have to wait for approvals and whatnot. Instead, all they have to do is, via a click of a mouse, find out how, let's say, what's the progress of a certain project.
Okay, the Magna Carta for Philippine Internet Freedom is a crowdsourced document, and this in itself is a new concept to the Philippines. In other European countries, they already have crowdsourcing legislation, and they allow the citizens to participate in lawmaking via social media, etc. So, how did you crowdsource this document? Just through Facebook or Twitter? How did you do it?
Yes.
Exactly,
Yes.
precisely.
Through social media.
Yes.
I mean, this document was an embodiment of a lot of netizens pouring in their points of view, and then the group, in essence, compiled it to what it is
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Precisely.
Pero, I think you will meet if there is a crowdsourcing bill pending as well.
Yes.
Yes.
But I don't know if that will meet more opposition or it will eventually be passed into law. It might be something that will be detrimental to, for example, some senators will not look at it favorably kasi it will allow more dissension, it will allow more opportunity for people to object, for example, to what they think or how they view, etc. Is there a balancing way? Do you think the crowdsourcing bill, for example, will ever be passed in the Philippines?
That's a valid point of view, that there will be people who will be afraid of dissent, because if you open the wider is the gate, the greater is the chance that people can express their objections. But we don't look at it that way. We look at dissent in this form as participatory democracy. So if you disagree with me, then let's sit down, let's talk. You leave your comment there, I will leave my comment beside it, and then let's hash until we find what the compromise is. In fact, that's how the Magna Carta for Philippine Internet Freedom came to be. There was a lot of disagreement, to put it lightly, between myself and some of the primary writers in the realm of, for instance, cybersecurity. One of our friends, who is unfortunately not here right now, wanted to pursue a more aggressive stance in terms of having a cyber force, if you want to call it that, a military cyber force. Whereas I wanted to make sure that we stayed within the bounds of non-aggression, which is enshrined in our Constitution. So we went back and forth on that, and then at the end of the day, we decided, yes, we need one, but still Congress has to declare whether or not it will be used, and so on and so forth. So there's always the point where you reach the balance, you agree, and it works. Because the only time that you will not agree is if neither side works.
Okay, in the past year, there have been 2 alleged victims of cyberbullying. That's Senator Tito Soto on the plagiarism issue, and now Senator-elect Nancy Binay. Is there such a crime? I mean, is that recognized under, for example, the Magna Carta for Internet Freedom? Will you provide against cyberbullying, or will you recognize, will this be a trend in the future, a defense against netizens expressing themselves online?
Well, our
Victor
approach
Francis.
to cyberbullying, as it were, it's more of a defamatory attack. And as such, it falls within the concept of libel. But libel is treated in the Magna Carta for Philippine Internet Freedom as a civil offense.
Civil offense.
Right,
Walang
so-
kulong yon. So,
No,
walang
it's a
pagkakakulong
tort.
if you're, okay.
Right. So, you take it to court as you normally would. Now, under the draft rules on civil procedure, you have to write letters. You have to talk it out, which eventually might be a better thing for those who, do shout or do claim that there will be no adequate redress for defamation if it's only civil. I don't agree. I think that if people are given a fine or a slap to the penalty, like they have to pay just for being bad people, just bad behavior, then attitudes will change by themselves.
But it's not really always defamatory. Some people think that cyberbullying is automatically a form of libel. It really isn't. Think about it as a group of brats, a group of brats who are making fun of another brat in a schoolyard. So it's not always bad words, it's not always insults, it's just people making fun of. And that's how people feel bad about it. Now, we do have, I believe, in our Civil Code Article 21, which talks about abuse of right, meaning you're not supposed to treat people badly. And if you do, you're supposed to pay damages for treating people badly. So again, we have laws that deal with quote-unquote cyberbullying. There is no need to define it in any of our laws because they're already provided for. We have bigger problems that we need to solve. We need to secure, for instance, our infrastructure. We need to make the different flavors of hacking, cracking, phishing, and other kinds of crimes very dealt with severely. Because if we focus only on what the media loves to call cyber libel, we're looking at a sliver of information, a sliver of problems that does not encompass what is the greater danger for our internet security.
As compared to, well, it's a sliver compared to the other data that
big,
can be compromised
the bigger
by
problems,
hacking.
yes.
It's like a building, and then looking at cyber libel alone as representative of the whole problem is looking at the cracks on the facade of the building, on the front door, while ignoring the cracks in the structural beams inside. If we repair the cracks in the front door, that does nothing to address the cracks in the beams, and that's what we're saying the problem lies. The cracks in the facade, those are easy, those are superficial.
What about WikiLeaks? They have data there that goes as far back as the Marcos administration. How is it possible to have scanned those data and then uploaded them online? Is that should we deem that as an attack on our cybersecurity, Engineer Pierre?
For ICT practitioners, we always say that the weakest link in any system is the human being. Or as our joke always goes, the problem is between keyboard and chair. Now, there are several levels of security. Technological is just one aspect. Okay, there's also the physical part, meaning security guards in front of the bank and all those things, which are, of course, we already know that. But there are other things that, other factors of security that we need to consider, like behavioral. So, are your passwords based on easily guessed words from the dictionary? Okay, so that comes the dictionary attacks in your password, and when people crack it, they enter your system. Is it based on the birthday of somebody? Is it based on a significant date? So we have what we call attacks that are social engineering attacks. Social engineering attacks, which don't have to go through systems. I will go up to you in a meeting somewhere, in a dinner somewhere. So your favorite pet when you were younger was this, and then the secret question is, what was the name of your favorite pet? And then boom, I'm able to access your password. So yes, these attacks can be considered cybercrimes by the violation of behavioral security for an ICT system. The issue is we don't have that even in our very badly crafted cybercrime law.
We don't provide for that.
We don't
so it's
provide
not
for
a
that.
crime. It's not a crime here.
Well, it could be considered as guesswork. I just got lucky, and that's my defense.
All right. Thank you very much to the democracy.net.ph. I hope you will come back again and discuss more about internet security because as I understand the cybercrime law, there will be a next hearing or what was the status already of the case?
We've given memorandums. We're just waiting for the Supreme Court
to issue a ruling,
yes.
decide on the case. All right. Thank you very much, Attorney Cecil Soria, Engineer Pierre Galia, and Attorney Kiko Acero for guesting right here on GNN. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break.